What's going on? Everybody here? All right, there's some questions here that we already have, so I'm probably gonna start working on those while everybody else shows up. Uh, so let's get started. Is it true that you don't clean your brass? If you don't clean your brass, then let me start over. Is it true that you don't clean your brass? If you don't clean your brass, then do you anneal? What about lube from sizing? Do you wet sonic clean to get that off? I shoot PRS and NRL. No, I don't clean my brass. That means I don't clean my brass. So what that means is I anneal it dirty. I size it dirty. Obviously, I lube it. I use dye wax. So obviously, if the case is super dirty, while I'm applying the wax, if it's super dirty, like mud or anything, I wipe it off, obviously. But I apply dye wax. I full-length size my brass, knocks out the primers at the same time. And then I run a mandrel through it while it still has lube on it. And then I take a rag and I wipe the lube off. That's it. I trim it. I prime it, drop powder, seed bullets, and on we go. So that's what I do. Do you figure out the Eric? Have you figured out the tuner on your air rifle? And can you comment on how it is different than conventional rifle? No, I mean we played with it. We're getting some pretty small groups with that air gun already, but no, I do not have enough experience with the air rifle to be able to make an assessment as to how it compares to a centerfire rifle. So I'm sure I'll get there, just not yet. I have ordered an easy tuner brake from your website, and I read that they do not come with instructions. After mounting the tuner, what are my next steps? Actually, they do come with instructions. The box will have a QR code, and it'll say installation instructions. If you click on that, or you scan that code, it'll take you to my website. We have a page that says installation instructions. There's a video that shows you how to install it, how to tune it, and all the good stuff. Also, there's the prints for the tuner, so that the threads that you need to cut, however you need to do it. But no, the instructions are there. The way that I recommend is you start at 0, shoot a group there, go to 5, shoot a group, 10, shoot a group, 15, shoot a group, and so on and so forth until you see how the groups are behaving. And I like to find 2 in a row if possible that shoot well. And when I do, I just go to the middle of those 2. Let's say setting 15 and setting 20 shot well. I go to about 17 or 18, and then I verify. And if everything's still good, I leave it alone. And I try not to touch it. Okay? That's going to be the easiest way to do it. It's going to work for just about everybody. In competition, you guys probably heard about me having the secret way to use a tuner. I was sworn to secrecy by John Myers, who is probably the person that I personally know that knows most about tuners and how tuners behave. However, it is not. So 2 things. He swore me to secrecy. And 2, I haven't used it enough to be confident enough to be able to tell somebody how to do it. So that's where I'm at on that. Okay. So if anybody tells you that I don't share information on how to set my tuners, it's on my website. It's been there always. Actually, I posted the instructions right on the chat. So click on the link. It'll take you there. Can we get a sneak peek at the full-length sizing dies? No, you cannot. They are almost ready. We had to throw away the first batch. They were ready to go, but through testing and we sent them out to some shooters, and they just weren't exactly what we wanted. So we threw away the first batch. It was a big pile of them. I didn't count them because I didn't want to. I didn't want to know exactly how many there were. But anyway, we're not going to push them out until we know they're as close to perfect as possible. So that's how that's going. Having said that, we're getting very close. And, the problem is the first one that we're going to release is going to be the PRCW. And that one, because of the different reamers that are floating around, that's causing the issue for us. So anyway, that's where we're at. But I use my dies to win Southwest Nationals, South African Nationals. And, my rifle was on the Team USA that won the World Championship. So the dice work. It's just coming up with a dimension that works for everybody is where we're having issues. So they're coming. They're coming. Erik, how many firings do you get on your PRCW dies? About so far I've gotten about 12 firings, and I quit shooting that brass, and the reason for that is I left it behind in South Africa. So when I came back, I started over. So far the brass will last a long time. So that's my experience. I think that brass will last a very long time. It is very tough brass. As you can imagine, it's magnum brass. So yeah, it's very durable. Erik, I had a question on chamber reamers. What are the benefits of a turn neck chamber? What other dimension changes would benefit in reloading? So the benefits in neck turning is that you true up the neck. That's about it. It gives you the ability to set your neck thickness to whatever you want, set your neck clearance to whatever you want, and make the neck as uniform as possible. Now, I think that only comes into play at, I don't know, very high level shooting, bench rest, F-class, and even some F-class guys are getting away from neck turning. So I would not recommend it for PRS, hunting, or even just regular plinking. It's just not, it requires a very highly set up rifle for you to be able to see the benefits of neck turning. So, if you don't have to neck turn, don't do it. It's a big rabbit hole, deep rabbit hole. Erik, what causes inconsistency in seating depths when seating bullets? What is the acceptable range? Plus or minus what? Well, plus or minus 0 if you can get it. The inconsistencies come from many places. Typically, when you're seating your bullets, if you have too tight of neck tension, obviously you're going to have a hard time getting that bullet to seat. And, there's going to be spring back even when you're seating. So that could be potentially cause for inconsistency. Also, if you have light neck tension and a compressed load, when you seat the bullet, the powder will actually push it back out. And also, if you have slop in your die, that the cases aren't lining up perfectly straight, right? If they're not bending, but they're tilting a little, then your seating depth's not going to be as consistent. Also, slop in your press. If you have a press that has slop in it, then things are not going to be as consistent. That's where the inline seaters, that's where they come in handy, and that's the reason we use them, because it doesn't matter if you have slop in your press. You push that die down until it bottoms out, and that's it. So that's typically the benefit of the inline seater die. Erik, can you go into detail on the lubricity of your expander mander and why not lube is needed prior to expanding? Thanks. So we use Armaloy. That's a coating. It's a very expensive coating. But the reason for that is I don't like lubing my necks. Again, remember, I don't clean my brass. I also don't like lubing the necks. I don't like putting any type of lube at all inside the neck, because then that would require that I lube or that I clean the brass. So these mandrels, you can go two ways. You can go carbide, which are very expensive, or you can go with like what we did, which is a coating that gives you the hardness of carbide without the price of carbide. So It is a very tough coating. And again, that's I did it that way so that you did not need lube. So that's what that is. John actually just sized like 900 pieces of brass. He expanded them without lube, and yeah, that mandrel's fine. So anyway, that's that. The only reason we can do that is because of that coating that we apply to our mandrels. Do you think the Wilson seating dies are better than the threaded ones? Well, it depends. Typically, again, if all your equipment is properly maintained, it should not matter. However, I prefer the Wilson dies or the inline dies because I travel with them. I have a small press. I seat my bullets long. I do the final seating the night before the match. So there's benefits to the inline seaters. However, as long as you're getting your desired, base ogive dimension, it doesn't matter how'd you get there. What case wax do you use? I use Imperial sizing wax. When testing for seating depth or powder weight, and you shoot, say, five-shot groups, how long do you wait before shooting 5-shot groups? If you wait at all. I'm going to read it again. When testing for seating depth or for powder weight, and you shoot 5-shot groups, how long do you wait before shooting 5-shot group? If you do wait at all. So what I do, if I'm going to shoot 5, obviously I'm going to shoot 2 or 3 just to get the barrel fouled in, because it's usually going to be clean. And then I'll probably shoot, if it's only 5-shot groups, I'll probably shoot them all. I'll shoot 5, and then just go on to the next one. Keep in mind, in competition, we shoot 20 shots for record plus unlimited sighters. So we shoot 30 shots, 25 to 30 shots all the time. So 25 shots, they don't really bother me, especially because I'm going to probably shoot 5, and then I'm going to take notes. So, it's going to be maybe a minute or 2, but I don't actually purposely wait. I just shoot them all 5 in a row. I may start a new series on the chronograph. I may make a note. I may start a new target on the e-target, and then I'll shoot my next one. But no, there's no waiting on purpose. It's just part of the usual routine. So I'm going to say maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Erik, how many rounds do I need? Oh, I lost it. Erik, how many rounds do I need loaded for nationals just to shoot the mid-range in November? I don't know. I haven't seen the match program. Download the match program, and it'll tell you how many matches there are. And, add it all up. Don't forget to add for sighters and blow-offs. And that's how many you need. When will we see the sizing die? Hopefully very soon. We got some back from coding last week. I think on Friday, so 2 days ago. So I think Monday we're gonna run them through the test, that we do, and make sure they look good, and make sure everything's like it's supposed to be. And if it is, we're gonna release the first batch. More than likely, we're gonna do we'll do a soft release. We'll the PRCW is probably gonna be the first one we'll have. We're also gonna have WSM, RSOM, and then the usual suspects, 308, 65 Creed, and all those. So what we'll do is we'll probably release them and announce the die, show you guys how it works, and then you'll be able to go on the website and select whatever you want. And those are probably going to be obviously back ordered because we haven't made them. But that way we'll know what to make. That way we're not wasting time making stuff, too much of something that we don't need. You know what I mean? So that's what I found is the best way so far to go about it. You're still going to wait, but at least we kind of have an idea of what to make. Do you do you outside neck turn? If so, can you walk through the steps for neck turning? Um, I do neck turn. I use a iDod, the auto iDod, the inside outside neck turner from F Class Products. That's what I use now. But if you're just gonna do the conventional neck turning, you typically use a neck turning a neck turner from, let's say, 21st century, and it has a guided mandrel. You take a drill, you size your necks. You use the mandrel supplied with the turner. You're gonna have a sizing mandrel and a turning mandrel. The sizing mandrel is what you use to size your brass with. The turning mandrel goes on the neck turner. You size the brass, and then you chuck it up on a drill or by hand if you want, typically with a drill. And then you hold the neck turner in your hand, and then you feed the brass onto the neck turner. The mandrel will guide it, and it has a cutter that is gapped, almost like a spark plug would be gapped. But you set your gap between the cutter and the mandrel to whatever thickness you want your necks to be. So let's say you want 10 thousandths, let's say 10 thousandths. You would set the distance from the cutter to the mandrel at 10 thousandths. And when you run the brass in there, turning, the cutter will cut the excess. Anything over 10 thousandths, it'll cut it away. You feed it in, feed it out, you're done. That's the short of it. So it's quite simple, but at the same time, you can ruin a lot of brass if you don't do it right. Especially if you don't have a chamber set up for neck turning, you can easily turn too much, and now you got too much clearance on your chamber, which is just going to cause more issues. I'm from Round Rock. What's up, man? That's just up the road. I have the V2 tuner on an adapter. How and how often do you recommend cleaning it? Obviously the only thing that's going to get dirty is the adapter. So I would clean it every time you clean your barrel. And, I wouldn't take it off. You shouldn't have to. Just as you're patching it out, just go in there on the other side. And a lot of people take a carbon cleaner on a cotton ball, stuff it in there, and, leave it on there for 5 minutes or so, and then just clean it up. It should clean up pretty easily. When I give one full turn to the tuner, it extends a hair past the muzzle. Is that bad? It should go the other way. Depends which tuner you're talking about, but if you're doing the V2, it should go the other way. If it is the V1, then yes, it will go. It's fine. Can you talk about NRA classifications and how they work? I just picked the lowest one in the entry form, and I was given a random NRA number. What is that? So NRA classifications is the level at which you are shooting, right? And that is dependent on your scores. I believe they take the last 120 shots and they average them out. And depending on your average, that's the classification that you get. For example, the highest classification is High Master. You need to shoot 98% or higher. If those 120 shots average 98% or higher, you're High Master. If they average, below 98 but above 96%, you're a Master. And I think 94% is Expert, and so on and so forth. You can look it up on the rule book. However, if you have never shot, you get thrown into Master classification automatically. That's right in the middle, and that's gonna prevent people from sandbagging. So that's how that works. So at the moment, you're gonna go on. You're gonna be shooting against the Masters. You're gonna be actually called unclassified, but it's Master class. That's where you're going. Would you make a slim tuner brake for a 223 Remington for AR-15 brakes barrels? Would you make a slim tuner brake for 223 Remington for AR-15 barrels? Yes. Very soon. Very soon. cut rifling versus button rifling. I prefer cut rifling, obviously. That's all I ever have used. Well, not ever, but I prefer cut rifling. That's you're going to be your Kriegers, your Barlines, your Bruxes, and there's others. But those are the big, top three, and they just more consistent. I just did an interview with, over on my channel, Believe the Target, with Frank Green from Barline Barrels. There's actually two podcasts that I've done with him. Go check them out. They're great. You're gonna learn so much. But the second one, you gotta watch them both because kind of the second one builds on the first one. But man, just great information. But you'll learn kind of why I believe cut rifling are better. I've also done interviews with Ken from Brooks Barrels and John Krieger himself from Krieger Barrels. So go watch all of those, and you'll be able to make up your mind. But I think you're going to be pretty sold on cut rifling barrels after you watch those episodes. As anyone who has, as someone who also does machine work, I want the story on. As someone who also does machine work, I want the story on going from Harbor Freight lathe to a full-blown machine shop. Previous training, ? School of Hard Knocks. So, my first lathe was a Harbor Freight mini lathe. And the reason for that is, I was having a gunsmith chamber my barrels and things of that nature, and I just found lathes fascinating. So, I bought me a mini lathe, and I was using that to neck turn, to clean out my, primer pockets and deburring and chamfering, and I was doing pretty much everything with that. But the main reason I bought it was for neck turning. Well, I was fascinated with it, and I just jumped into YouTube and just watched a lot of videos on how to run a machine and things of that nature, which led me to finally buy a bigger lathe, which is a Webb 15 by 30. Really good lathe. And then I started doing my own barrel work. Again, I kind of had already learned, believe it or not, on the mini lathe. So then, I just started doing things on the big lathe. And then I was doing my tuners. I started doing my tuners. I used to have them made. Then when I got my manual lathe, I started doing them myself. So I had a lot of experience really fast, doing blind holes and ID threading and things of that nature. Well, then I decided I'm going to do my own barrel work. So I went to go take a class from Speedy. He taught me how to do barrel work, came back, started doing that. And, I did that for a long time. And then one day I got a wild hair that I wanted to buy a CNC lathe. So I bought a Tormach lathe, CNC. And anyway, that thing has stepper motors. And I didn't know the difference, but pretty much every time you turn the thing off, it forgets everything. So that was a big learning experience. I learned how to deal with that, how to program CNC lathes, how to 3D model. I had to teach myself G-code, all of the above. And that went on for a while, a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And then one day I decided to retire from construction. That's another big story in itself. But I decided, I'm going to retire from construction and I'm going to buy me a lathe just so I can keep making my tuners and make some other parts. I released my tuner brake by then, and I figured, I'm just gonna play around and have a nice machine. And that's when I bought my DMG Mori. And again, I didn't know much about it, but I learned. And 16, 18-hour days, just terrified that I would crash that thing. And but yeah, I learned how to run it, and here we are. About 6 months later, I ordered my NTX machine, which is the 9-axis machine, and learned how to run that. And so here we are. So that's the short story of how that happened. What mods have you done to the Hellcat Durango? Nothing yet. As a matter of fact, Mopar has stage 1 and stage 2 tuning that will not void the warranty. because I have a 7-year unlimited miles warranty. So I do not want to screw that up. But I called the dealer and they do not have it available yet. So that's about, if I do anything, that's what I'm going to do. And all it is a small pulley and a cold air intake and programming. But it bumps at another 50 to 60 horsepower, which, if you put that on top of 710, it's pretty good. But that thing as it is, it's pretty crazy. So doesn't really need anything. Erik, what do you think about Mr. Litz? Oh, he's a good guy. I like him. I mean, I know him. He has his own opinions, obviously, and as do I. But at the end of the day, I think we're all searching for the truth, but I don't think any of us at this moment know what it is. There's different perspectives, obviously. He has the perspective of controlled environment in a lab, and he has his education. And all I have is experience in shooting, I don't ever shoot in controlled environments. I'm always shooting, dealing with the wind, dealing with everything. So, and I don't accept the results, right? If I have a gun that shoots bad, I don't say, well, that's just how guns shoot. No, I go out and make it better. Whereas I think their approach is, let's see how it does, and that's just how it is. Obviously, I don't know, right? But I think that's the difference. They will test something and accept the result for what they are, and I don't. If I don't like how it works, how it shoots, then I just go and change it, or find what makes it do what I want it to do. And if it doesn't do it, just find something else. But I think that's the difference. But yeah, I mean, as far as what I think about him personally, yeah, I think he's a good guy. I like him. What else? Oh man, there's a lot of comments here. Lost track of them. So there's 283 of you here. Let me check how many likes there are. There's only 68 likes. Come on. Come on. You guys need to get in the habit of liking the video the minute you join. And I'm not talking about just me. Everybody, if they're a gun tuber, support us. Give us a like. Follow if you're not following. That's how you need to make your voices heard. As you guys know, we're suppressed heavily by YouTube, right? And if you guys don't give us the support, they don't really realize how many numbers we actually have, right? Because we're the silent majority, right? So don't be silent. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. That all, trust me, it helps. It helps us. It helps push our channels, push our agenda, or sport. So again, not just me, everybody. If they're gun tuber, even if you don't like it, give them a like. You can leave them a comment, give them a piece of your mind if you want, but just we're all on the same team. So let's act that way. There. So anyway, thank you. There you go. See? Now, how hard was that? Hey, check this out. There's 284 viewers right now. 284. That cannot be a coincidence. Anyway, where are we at? Greetings from Bernie. Oh, cool, man. What is the coating called? Armaloy. Go to my website, go under Mandrels, and it's all there. It tells you what it is. Would you write some books? Man, you don't want me writing some books. I don't know what I would write about. Honestly, I think there's so many brilliant people out there, and I don't think I'm one of them. I'm just glad I can help you guys in some way. Thanks, Erik. My first rifle is about 10 months out. I decided to stay with a 284. I find the custom reamers a little confusing. Yeah, reamers can be, as you said, confusing because they don't always work as expected. And if you don't know what you're looking for, kind of like what I just described about Mr. Litz, if I have a reamer and I know what to expect, how it should behave, and if it doesn't, I make a change and I order a different reamer. And of course, you got to wait 4 to 6 months, so it's a very long process. But for somebody who doesn't quite understand reamers and behavior and what to expect from them, you're just gonna think it's you, or you're gonna think whatever. It may be something as simple as the reamer. So yeah, I understand. If you have something that works, just stay with it. That's the reason I hate changing. By the way, my PRCW, I think I went through 3 or 4 reamers before I was happy with it. So yeah, it's not that easy. Erik, after all the Believe the Target interviews, which are awesome, have you changed anything in your load development process? Yes, I have. I'm always testing different things, even if I disagree with somebody, I'm going to go test it just in case, right? Just in case I'm wrong. And I'll just believe the target when the test is over with. But I don't know that I've changed a whole lot, but I have changed. And here's going to be a shameless plug for my website. But if you're a forum member on my website, you get to see all my load development and all the things I'm trying and all that good stuff. But yeah, that way you don't have to do it. I do it. I give you the results, and if it's something you think it's going to work for you, hammer down. What is the maximum barrel temp before you let it cool? I have no idea. John, F-Class John, and I, John has those heat strips on his barrel, and he's asking me why I don't have them. And I said, I don't know. I don't need them. And he goes, what do you mean you don't need them? How do you know how hot your barrel is? I'm like, I don't care. If I'm pounding X's, you think I'm going to stop because the barrel might be too hot? No. If I'm pounding X's, I'm going to keep pounding X's. And if it burns up, it burns up. So honestly, I don't know. If it feels hot, if I'm testing and it feels hot, I don't shoot. Like, too hot to touch, I don't shoot. But yeah, that's how I test it. So I don't have an actual number for you. Would you recommend shooting a PRC at lower velocity, 2850, if it seems to group better, even though it goes against the purpose of the cartridge? Yes, obviously. Fast 9s don't get you anything. Slow X's are better. So yes, obviously, if it shoots, it shoots, right? Again, this is back to what I was saying. However, if you don't like that, then you're going to have to change something to get it to shoot at faster speeds, right? And, you can change primers, powders. That's about the two that you can change. Typically, the easiest is powder, and the node will, move. They'll move. The nodes will move depending on the powder that you have. So right now, it sounds like you have a 2850 node. I don't know where the next one is. It might be around mid 2900s. It may be too hot. It may not. But if you can't get it to tune at the higher speeds, then maybe change your powder and see where the other powder, see where the nodes are at, and see if they get you a little bit more speed. But yeah, I wouldn't have a problem shooting at 2850. Dude, imagine your brass life at 2850. How hard is the front back on your new Neo X? What material do you fill it with? How much tension on you run on your side plates? I get it. It's hard to explain, obviously, but I get it to where it deforms a little bit. I don't have it super hard. I'm gonna say I fill it up to about, I'm gonna say 85%, and I get my side ears pretty snug. I like them pretty snug. Obviously, not too tight that I can't pull the rifle out of the front rest, but yeah, I get them pretty snug. Have you used the new FX Chrono? Nope. I have the lab radar, and we haven't even tried it with the air rifle. At 1,000, where is usually 4 flags between the firing line and the target? Which one is the most important? Or if they don't agree on wind direction or strength. Let me read that one again. At 1,000, there's usually 4 flags between the firing line and the target. Which one is the most important one if they all don't agree on wind direction or strength? Believe the target. If you shoot, let's say you have unlimited sighters, hold dead center. And if the bullet goes to the right, look at the flags and see which one would indicate that the bullet would go to the right. That's the one that's telling you the truth. So they're not all lying. You're just not, you're not milking them for information properly. So sometimes you got to work it backwards. Everybody wants to look at the flags and make the call. Sometimes you kind of shoot, see where the bullet went, and then look at the flags and see which one shows what just happened. So that's the one. Whichever one agrees with the target. Why isn't 6.5 by 55 Swedish ever considered as a caliber for F-class or ELR shooting? Are there obvious problems with it? Seems like it might be a viable option. Well, nobody's using it. So, it's one of those things. If nobody's using it, nobody's winning with it. If nobody's winning with it, nobody wants to use it. Right? And ballistically, it's not going to beat the 7s. So, there used to be the 6.5 GWI, the Greg Wally. It was a modified 6.5 by 55. And that one had a few guys that were shooting it for a little while, and then they just gave it up. So it's been around. People have tried it. It just didn't really do much as far as giving anybody an edge, especially against the 7s. So that's why they don't shoot it. Hi, Erik. I would love to visit your shop sometime. I'm a factory ISCAR rep in Southern Indiana. I'm passionate shooter, reloader, machinist. Your EC tuner brakes are bee's knees. Thank you. Yeah, man. ISCAR. We don't use ISCAR at all. We use Tungaloy. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But when I first started, I had one of the big tool reps around here, and he came and looked at my shop, and anyway, it's just one man band, and I got this machine, and I'm anyway, he didn't see much of a potential, I guess, and that was on a Friday. We're gonna order a bunch of tools, and on Monday, I'm like, hey man, I need those tools, and he said, you know what? I don't think we're gonna be a good fit. You need to go find somebody else. So, I did, found somebody else, and now we're blown and going, and whatever, man. That's part of it, I guess it's just business for them. Do you believe that the other manufacturers of brass, for example, Bertram, can be reworked to equal the quality of Lapua? I don't know, Mark. I would assume, right? If somebody can do it, I mean, if Lapua can do it, I'm sure others can. But I guess it's like Coke, right? Lapua has the recipe, and I guess if you don't have the recipe, it's probably hard to match it. But obviously, I know nothing about that. But that's my assumption. Have you seen powder load graph that is ruler straight line up to the right about 30 degree? The node ES from 5 to 20, SD 2.4 to 9.4, powder 40.6, and 3.10 shot groups. Wow, that was a lot of info right there. Have you seen powder load graph that is ruler straight line going up left to right at about 30 degrees, no nodes, ES from 5 to 20, SD from 2. I've seen some like that, and still there's always nodes. There's still going to be places where, with those same increments, it's not going to jump as much on speed. And, if it's a straight line, not a straight line, but if it doesn't have any flat spots, I usually look in there and see if there's any places that it didn't gain as much speed, and I try there, see what it looks like. But there's always going to be places where they shoot better. You may not be satisfied with it, but I think they will. So that's usually what I do. But yeah, I have seen it. I know you don't use a spotting scope. At 1,000 yards, Are you only focusing your scope so you see the mirage at the target, or do you focus the parallax at a point in between the firing line and the target? I focus the parallax at the mirage. The target's usually blurry when I shoot. And that's a lot of people can't do that. I've taught myself how to do it. That's how I do it, and it works for me. When people ask me if the target's blurry, I usually tell them I'd rather have a blurry X than a clear 9. So that's kind of how I go about it. How would one get into a 7 PRCW or 284 Shaheen? Well, you build it. They're different bolt faces, so if you already have an Action and it has a 308 bolt face, then I'd probably go with a Shaheen. And if you have a Magnum bolt face, then I'd go with a PRCW, right? That way you don't need another bolt. But other than that, I mean, you find the easiest way is find a gunsmith that already has the reamer and get them to chamber your barrel. And that's that. You got Jay Christopherson, you got Jeremy Smith, you got obviously Alex Wheeler, you got Speedy. Those 4 guys can crank you out a really high quality product. Obviously, Speedy and Alex Wheeler are going to be super busy. So, then you have Jay Christopherson and, Jeremy Smith. And let me see if I have their info so that you guys can, while we're here, you can get it. So, Jay Christopherson is jrcprecision.com, I believe. His email address is jrcprecision@duck.com. jrcprecision@duck.com. And, the letter J. And Jeremy Smith is jtsprecision@gmail.com. So, jtsprecision@gmail.com. Those 2 guys, they're my teammates. They're both gunsmiths, and they crank out some really good stuff. So, if I wasn't doing it, I'd get them to do it for me. Actually, I have in the past. I've had both of those guys chamber barrels for me. I'm going to give Jay a plug right now. Jay Christopherson. He's the guy that actually chambered that barrel for me that I shot that 1 1/4 group with. So, there's that. He had a couple barrels for sale, and I said, hey, how about you chamber them before you send them? And he did, and when I put them on my on my rifle, that thing shot tiny. So there you go. Next up will be an easy shoulder base neck swager to uniform the neck wall thickness versus cutting the neck. I don't know about that one. What is acceptable ESSD for 20 round match? Man, that's a tough question. Obviously as low as you can get it, but I've had it all the way up 20 ES, 25. And again, as long as it shoots, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, above 25 is where I start to get a little nervous with it, but I try to keep it 20 and under. Obviously, the lower, the better. But back to that 1 1/4 group that I shot. If you guys go watch it, the extreme spread on that was 19. So, how much does that matter? I don't know. It's one of those mysteries, right? Oz. Okay, so Oz was saying that I back off the parallax, and somebody said, Ruger24 said, yep, I was looking for Eric's answer. So Oz on the he's a member of my forum, and he's a new F-class shooter. He just started shooting F-class, and I'm actually doing 1-on-1 with him, and it's on the forum for everyone to see. But I've been coaching him. There's 2 shooters that I've been coaching, and he goes and shoots the match, comes back and tells me kind of how it went, things that he did wrong, and then I kind of tell him what to work on. They work on it for an entire month, and then they go shoot another match, and they report back, and so on and so forth. So it's a it's a pretty cool series that we have because I can see how these guys are advancing so fast. So anyway, by the way, if you're not subscribed to the forum, go subscribe. But there's so much info over there. But anyway, that's the reason Oz knew what I do, because we discussed this, I believe, on the last interview that we did. Ruger24 asks, is High Master 98% the same for 1,000 and 600? Yes, sir. It's the same. I believe it is the same all the way across. Super Trickler or Prometheus? I have both. The Super Trickler, I use it for working up loads and testing and all those, just the things that require that I change powder charges a lot. And once I have my final powder charge that I'm happy with, then I throw the Prometheus. So I use them both. All right. It's a lot of, man, I'm trying to keep up here. I'm surprised nobody's asked about CLR. Maybe I haven't gotten there yet. Oh, let me find where I was. Oh, man. Well, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing great. It's a Saturday evening. I don't think I've ever done a live stream on Saturday evening, but I figured, what the hell? Why not? Wow, there's a lot of comments here. All right, I think I'm back. Oh, god dang it, that was the next one, believe it or not. In the title, why did you want to talk about CLR? There it is. Well, Kelbley's released a notice that if you use CLR, it'll void your warranty on their actions or their rifles or whatever. So apparently people been using CLR and getting them all over the action and just leaving it there. I guess that's my assumption. And so there's kind of big a little uproar on social media today, as a matter of fact. People talking about CLR and kind of, So anyway, that's going on. So that's why I figured somebody was going to ask about CLR, just because of that. But like anything else, don't abuse it. I run 3 wet patches through my barrel. So run a patch, pull out the cleaning rod, wipe it dry, put another patch in there. I have obviously a bore guide with an O-ring and all the good stuff. I have a solvent port on my bore guide, and then I run another wet patch, pull it back out, clean the rod out, another patch, more CLR, run it again. By then, the first one's going to be the dirtiest. The second one's not going to be as bad. The third one is going to have a hint of black. Pull it back out, clean the rod, send a patch with isopropyl alcohol, the 99% stuff, run it in there, run a second one, run a couple of dry ones, and then I go in there with a bore scope to see how bad the copper is, because by then it's exposed to all the copper. And then I go in with copper cleaner. Okay, so and then when I'm done, I clean everything out, take out the bore guide, I dry out my chamber, all the good stuff. So obviously it's in there for like 5 minutes. But apparently people leave it in there for a very long time, like overnight and stuff. It works so fast that you don't have to do that. And number 2, it can hurt your barrel, just like anything else. Just like IOSO, any abrasive, JB bore paste. If you patch it too long, too much, let's say you sit there and you patch it out, and you stroke it all night long. Wow. Anyway, so hell, I'm gonna go with it. So if you stroke it all night long, it's gonna hurt the barrel. So anyway, just use it responsibly, or don't use it at all. There's a ton of carbon cleaners out there. They all do a good job. So again, that's that. I use it, and obviously I will take responsibility for using it. And because of that, I don't like I said, I just told you how I do it. So just, be smart about it. I will buy that 223 tuner, but maybe chill out on that braking effect. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing at eliminating. I will buy the 223 tuner, but maybe chill out on that braking effect. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing at eliminating recoil, but it's also loud. The other one's gonna be a 3-port, and yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna reduce a lot of recoil. But earmuffs. Erik, can you please make a bullet me-plat trimmer point for other presses? Not just like the Dylan. How about the FAX10? I don't make a trimmer pointer thing. Maybe you talk about the bullet flow. If so, I will look into it. I know you mentioned you like hard hold. Does that mean you pin the rifle to the front rest? No. I mean, I hard hold it. Pull it back into your shoulder? No. I mean, I just leave it there and I just grab it. Like I don't push it or I don't pull it. I don't know. I pin it. I grab it. Like I don't know how to explain it. How is F-Class John doing with hard holding? He's actually he's going all in. He bought a different rifle. Maybe I shouldn't tell you guys this yet. But he's changing rifles so that he can hard hold, because he's found that it works best for him. Doesn't work for everybody, but for him it's going well. Since I have an easy tuner, do you recommend I attempt to find the best load that matches my barrel's harmonics when the tuner is set at 0, or load up the fastest safe velocity and tune it? Ooh, well, it depends what you're doing. I would work if you can work up a load, leave the tuner at 0. And typically what I try to do is find the load that gives me really low ES and SD. And whenever I have a stable load, then I play around with the tuner. So that's how I go about it. I wouldn't just go for speed. Do you use a pin rather than most front rest stops? I believe you mean on the rifle. Yes, my rifles have a pin on the bottom. But now I'm kind of getting away from those pins because to reduce weight. When I was at the World Championship, I was borderline, so I had to remove it. So the rest already has a good stop. The new Neo X has a really good pivoting stop that I don't have an issue using that one. So I think I'm just going to go back and start using the one on the rest. Erik, do you have any advice on how to get into PRS matches? I've emailed the Louisiana Precision Shooters Association with questions on how I can get started, but I haven't heard anything from them yet. Show up. Sign up to a match. Show up. That's usually how it works. If there's matches there, I'm sure they have a website. Go to that website. A lot of times they do practice score, so get your practice score account. And, they'll post the upcoming matches. Sign up. It'll give you the course of fire. Typically, if it's a day match, 100 rounds will do. And just show up. And that's it. Shoot the match. You're going to meet a lot of cool people there. There's going to be people that will help you. Literally, just show up. That's the best way to start. What's your favorite place, state to go to competition? Thanks for your knowledge, sir. So far, Bisley, England. That's been amazing. So that's that. Raton is very challenging. I enjoy Raton. It'll humble you. And join the member forum so you can help answer all my stupid questions. Yes, go join the forum. Go to my website, shootsmallgroups.com. Right on the front page, you'll see become a member. Click that, become a member. And when you get there, say hi. Question: how do you deal with switching winds in a match? Your wind call is 2 MOA on the left. Impact is 1 MOA to the right. Then you hold one more MOA, total of 3 to the left, and impact points only go. All right. Let me read this one again because it's got math. It's a word problem. Remember you guys used to do that in school? This is why. They were preparing me for live streams. Question: how do you deal with switch winds? God dang. All right. Start over. Question: how do you deal with switching winds in a match? Example: your wind call is 2 MOA to the left. The impact is 1 MOA to the right. Then you hold one more MOA for a total of 3 to the left. And the impacts only goes 2 MOA left. Well, that's because you took too long. The wind is switchy, obviously. And by the time you did all your math, the wind died down. And that's why when you moved over there, it was too much wind. That's number one. Number two, it could be that your rifle threw a flyer. The flyers can go in any direction. So it may have been a flyer downwind and you chased it and then now you're upwind. So that's also a possibility. And we see that often, actually. As a wind coach on Team USA, we're coaching some of the best shooters in the world. And you coach enough, and, even from personal experience, that I see when shots go where they're not supposed to, and they go, they can be perfect waterline. And I'll see that and I go, I don't believe that. And sometimes they're not real. And we end up shooting upwind. Then we go back to our previous hold and turns out there was nothing there. So, yeah, that happens also. So, a couple of things that can be happening there. Thumbs up. Is that a like? Yes. Like, and subscribe. If you're not a member, just hit subscribe. What is your thoughts on the L.E. Wilson chamber seating die? They work. I've used them for a very long time. Short Action Customs now just released their Infinity die. That thing's pretty sweet. It's expensive, but if you're just now getting into inline seaters, that might be a good option to get that one because it's modular. So, you can do tons of different cartridges with that one. So you would only need one die pretty much for everything. So that's kind of cool about it. CLR. I love CLR. I have used it for years. Why do so many people disagree about it? Well, again, they use it. They're using it. They're abusing it. That's the problem. And you abuse anything, it's going to bite you. I appreciate you sharing information freely to help all shooters. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here and being part of this project of mine. It's fun. And yeah, man, just keep on trucking. I'd love to see a conversation between you and Ryan Kleckner. It's on Believe the Target. Go check it out. We already had it. Thank you for the 30 caliber muzzle brake with tuner. Works perfect. Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it. How close do you live to Shields? I thought I saw you there, but I didn't want to embarrass myself in saying hello to the wrong person. I don't know where it's at. Is that in Dallas? Is that where you saw me? Because I've been there once. So you may have seen me there. I remember the barndominiums. Yeah, me too. That was a fun time. Brandon Herrera for president or governor. Well, he's running for something in Texas. Yeah, I saw that today on social media. And senator, maybe? I don't know what he's running for. Hello, y'all. Time zones mess me all up. I know. Man, I'm not very good at time travel. When I do these interviews, I still have a hard time lining everything up with the time zone. Congress. Brandon Herrera is running for Congress. Cool. How fast are you pushing your pellets? I don't know yet. We haven't set up the chronograph, but we will. I know all reamers cut different, but if you can, do you prefer freeboard diameter of half thousandths over bullet diameter or less? I've gone to 1,000th over. When are you off to Bisley? Soon. Soon we're gonna head back over there. What makes a reamer different if they cut to the exact same size? That's the problem. They don't cut to the exact same size. Thoughts on load development at 100 versus 500? Well, it depends what you're doing. You know, there's nothing wrong with 100, but it requires a lot of experience, I guess I can say, so that you can tell the groups apart, the ones that are going to shoot at long range and the ones that aren't. If you're going to tune at 100, you got to have low ES and small groups. If you have low ES and small groups, it's going to shoot, based on my experience. If it doesn't, then there's a problem with your bullets, your BC consistency. Obviously, at 500, you're already there. If it doesn't shoot there, if it shoots there, it's going to shoot there, So I guess what I'm saying is, just because it shoots at 100 doesn't guarantee you that it'll shoot at 500. But if it shoots at 500, it'll shoot at 500. See what I mean? Erik, what cartridge would you recommend for a new rifle shooter that wants to build a really nice PRS long-range rifle? 6-dasher, BT, or Deviant? Dasher's fine. 6BR is always good. Any of those. 6.5 Creed. I mean, that's an easy one. So any of those will work. Just don't go building something crazy. Like a lot of shooters want to get into the game and they go and build a Wildcat. And if you don't have the experience, back to like we were saying, not all reamers work, especially if you have a Wildcat. Sometimes they just don't shoot, and you're just going to be chasing your tail. So first of all, go build something that everybody else is using that's really working well for them. And once you get that working, if you want to play around with something else, go ahead. But first, build something that is a proven platform. So 6BR is so easy. How do you feel about half 28 threads for a Magnum 30 caliber? 5.8 seems to be standard, and some guys say half 28 isn't enough material to be safe. I mean, all it needs is to hold the suppressor, right? It'll hold it. I mean, it ain't gonna go anywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, half 28, you're the bottom of the threads, the minor diameter of half 28 is, oh man, I got to do math now. It's about 465 thousandths, and a 30 caliber is 308, right? So 0.464 minus 308. So you got 156 thousandths divided by 2. You got 78 thousandths of wall left. It's thin, but I mean, it'll hold it. But yeah, I mean, you can see why. It's getting pretty thin. What material do you use in your Neo X front rest? I don't know what you're asking. Maybe for the sandbag, just sand. You can use light sand, heavy sand. It really doesn't matter. Explain how your lab radar quad pod is made. I don't have one of those. I just use a small tripod. Jason's the one that had one of those. Is anyone winning with 5R rifling? Seems like 4-groove is more common when talking to people. Yeah, 5R works. I'm sure there's people winning with them. I don't go around asking people what they're shooting, but 4-groove, 5, they both work. Again, you get it from a reputable barrel maker, they're gonna be fine. I have a 28-inch barrel. I am shooting 4350 at 40.4 grains behind 140 40 grain bullet. I am not getting the velocity I need, but the groups are great. Would it be smart to try slower burning rate? Yeah, I mean, try something, right? But I don't know what velocity you need, but yeah, try something different. At least you have something to fall back on, right? I think somebody figured out the 7mm 08-ish caliber has been proven to be the best all around for ballistics. Heck, the Germans started it. Yeah, it is very efficient, but it doesn't have enough enough oomph for what we do. Just like a Prius is very efficient, but I'm not gonna go pull a trailer with it. So you just got to figure out what fits your needs, man. 708, I used to hunt with it. I love it. But when I went to competition, guess what? No more 708. Maybe you would never do this, but if you were in a match and your rifle went out of tune and you had a tuner of a very little date on how much you would turn the tuner if you had nothing to lose. Well, yeah, turn the tuner. I mean, if it's not shooting, turn it, right? And if it doesn't work, go the other way. You know, it's just, if you got nothing to lose, turn it. Don't just sit there and crash and burn. Do something about it. What do you recommend for caliber for 100 meter or 300 meter limited capabilities in Germany? 100 meter or 300 meter. I mean, 100 meter PPC is king. 300 meter 6BR maybe. So if you're going to do 100 and 300, a 6BR would be the ticket. What weight bullet do you use? I run 180 grain hybrids from Berger. Do you use quick load computer program? Not anymore. I used to long time ago, but I no longer use it. Have you tried the 8.6 blackout? Nope. When I turn a barrel, lost it again. All right, we're gonna find it. All right, how are we doing? 350 viewers, 267 likes. You guys are not understanding the assignment. All right. Wow. All right. I'm back. When I burn the barrel out on my 6.5 PRC, I will likely rebarrel to 7 PRC-C. The 6.5 is so easy on the brass, I figure 7 is too. Yep. It's pretty simple. Just don't hammer on it and it'll last. That's the same for just about any cartridge. Do you uniform the primer pockets on your Lapua brass? If you do, what cutter do you use and why? I do. Lately, I've been cutting them again because I had that interview with Jack Neary, and he told me a story where he quit uniforming them and his groups opened up. So I thought, that kind of got in my head, and I said, well, it doesn't take that long, so I'll uniform them. So I do uniform them. I use a cutter that I had from many years ago. It was just there, and it's an adjustable one, but I would not recommend an adjustable one. I would recommend a fixed cutter, because the adjustable ones, sometimes they'll loosen up on you and they'll start just ruining all your brass. So get a fixed cutter blade, and that's it. Jay is in Washington State, where I am. Yep, Jay he's a good one. What do you think about Brian Blake's Paragon auction? What do you think about Brian Blake's Paragon action? I don't know. I mean, it seems revolutionary, but there's been a lot of revolutionary stuff that doesn't work out. Brian's a smart guy. I mean, it's one of those things that even if it doesn't work at first, I'm sure he'll make it work. So is it going to be game changing? Who knows? But it's interesting that he's doing different things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad he's doing something. That he likes. That's the key right there. And again, hopefully it'll work out for him. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't have an opinion. It just seems neat. When sizing your brass, how far do you reduce the neck diameter when you're bushing with your bushing? Let me start over. When sizing your brass, how far do you reduce the neck diameter with your bushing? Then, what size mandrel do you use to prep the neck for bullet seating? Typically, I use a mandrel that is 3 or 4 thousandths less than the loaded round diameter. And then I use a mandrel that is 2 thousandths under bullet diameter. And sometimes I run a mandrel twice, depending on my neck tension. Hey, Erik, thanks for all your videos. What neck clearance do you usually choose in your chambers? Also, do you run your necks on the long side to help with carbon ring, or does it matter much? Clearance, I go 5 to 6 thousandths. That's what I go for. And I do not run my necks long because when I order my reamers, I order them so that I only have 20 thousandths of clearance after I trim my brass. So that's what I do. On the amp annealer, maybe I didn't clarify, but I trim every time. So I don't run my necks long. On the amp annealer, do you just go with the Aztec setting? Yes. If it works, I just stick with it. What's a good spotting scope for 1,000 yards? It depends what you're doing with it. I don't know if you're going to shoot with it on the line, if you're going to coach with it. I don't know. I use a BTX 95 by Swarovski, but I use it mainly just for coaching, wind coaching. I cleaned my rifle with CLR and then melted after the first shot. What's a good spotting scope for 1,000 yards? Oh, same guy. Same answer. Yep. Hi, Erik. I've seen Kelblies have released notes saying they do not say to use it. Correct. CLR. Do you ever use JB board paste? I think it works good. No, I use IOSO, but I'm sure it's very similar to JB board paste. I've used CLR on my blue rifle with no issues. You just got to clean it out before the CLR attacks the rust blue. Don't let it sit on the finish. Simple enough. Yep, exactly. Hello, Erik. Your trigger squeeze is using the tip of your finger tips trigger back instead of the pad of your finger. I know it works. I'm applying PSI to your trigger. Let me read that again. Hello, Erik. Your trigger squeeze is using just the tip of your fingertips trigger back instead of the pad of your finger. I know it works. I'm applying PSI to your trigger. I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I just use the tip of my finger. Just like this. The pad, not the tip. This, whatever you call this. Oh, great timing. I hop in just to tell Erik to tell me to stroke it all night long. No, I actually said do not stroke it all night long. Erik, which Flavio Fade model do you use in your BRMXDs? I use the 2.0, I believe. I don't know. I think it's the latest one. The latest one on my latest rifle, I've used the original. I don't know. I think it's the 2.0, but it's just a Flavio. Just they all work in my opinion. Mr. Cortina, would you be making a seating die for a 338? Which 338? I mean, possibly, if we have enough people that want it, but you got to be more specific than that. Any good gunsmiths from Wisconsin that you know of? Is Ryan Pierce up there? I don't know where Ryan Pierce is at. There's but I don't know. I don't know if he does gunsmithing. I know he built a lot of hunting rifles. But yeah, Ryan Pierce, if you can get a hold of him. Can adjusting your primer seating depth help or to change your ESSD. I've been wanting the primal right seater. It can. It obviously if they're not seated properly, it will affect your ignition. So yeah, it can. You can test it. You can go get yourself one of them 21st century adjustable ones and try it. And if you see that it makes a difference, you can maybe dump the money on the CPS at that point. The 21st century will work, but your hands are going to get pretty tired. So that's where the CPS comes in. It just has a lot more leverage. Do you contour flute your own barrels? I don't do neither. They're inch 250 straight. If you are full-length sizing, why bother with fire forming? Okay. Let me read that one again. If you are full-length sizing, why bother with fire forming? Okay, I think I understand that question. Because the brass is undersized when it comes from the factory. It is set up so that it fits on a SAMI min spec chamber. When you fire form it, now you get it to your chamber. And then when you full length size it, you adjust your full length sizing die so that you only bump your shoulder 2 to 3 thousandths. That's it. Not 10 to 15 like they are when you get them from the factory. So that's why. Okay. Scope for F-class or target shooting, MOA or MIL? MOA. For target shooting, MOA is going to be the way to go. Second focal plane, because you don't want your crosshair getting bigger when you crank up the magnification. Why does Peterson brass come with small ignition hole? I don't know. I don't know much about Peterson brass. Pros and cons of 6.5 by 47 Lapua over 6.5 Creed. Well, at the moment, Lapua is not producing 6.5 47 brass. That's one of those that got put on hold. So at the moment, that would be the con of the 6.5 by 47 Lapua. As far as I love that little round. I think it's great. All right, lost my place again. Erik, when are you going to come to the dark side and start playing with ELR? Come out to King of 1 Mile and just checking it out. Oh, man, I don't know. I don't have that much time. Henry Cuellar, he was texting me last night, and, Paul Phillips and all them, Chase Stroud, they all want me to come and play with them, but I don't know. I don't have that much time right now, and I'm afraid I might like it. So I don't have time for another addiction. That rimfire, not that rimfire, but that air rifle is it's kind of my latest right now. It's so fun. I can just go outside, backyard, set up a target, and start shooting. I'll measure a loaded factory neck on my 7 PRC today, then measure a shot case from the rifle. 5 thousandths difference. Is this normal, or do I need to buy my own reamer to get it tighter? Oh, 5 thousandths is good. That's what I do even when I'm neck turning. Do you like H1000? I don't use it, so I don't know. I mean, a lot of people like it. When you run out of tulip primers, would you go back to 210s? Yeah. I run 210s right now on some stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'll go back to 210s. 210s are fine. Just put my 647 barrel back on my PRS. I mostly shoot NRL Hunter and other field matches. Going to shoot 115s, and my go-to load with 4350 goes about 2930. That should do it. Erik, I'm building a 6.5 Magnum. When my 6.5 Creedmoor barrel wears out, I'm going to be between a 6.5 PRC or 6.5 SOM. If brass availability wasn't an issue, which one would you go with? 6.5 PRC. Lapua makes brass for it. That's the issue with the SOM. I mean, there's companies that make brass for it, but It's not Lapua. And I think that's the reason the Psalm hasn't done so well in F-Class. I mean, there's some shooters that are using it, but not as many have jumped on it like they're jumping on the 7 PRCW. And literally the difference is Lapua brass. Which is a better choice, 7 PRC or PRCW? Well, it depends what you're doing with it. If you're hunting, I'd go with a PRC. If you're shooting competition, I'd go with a PRCW. Just more efficient. It's a smaller case. And again, Lapua brass. I just joined. Sorry if it was said. Is an interview with John Kyle from Foundation Stocks coming? Yes, it's been. He's been nominated, and I forgot to get a hold of him. I tried, and phone was busy. But yes, I need to get a hold of him. Has anyone thought about adapting the software from NASCAR televising and connecting it to scope cameras, optic cams, and digital vital monitors and creating and televised long-range shooting sports? Yes, it's called F-Class Point Series. Go check it out. We do that, except for we can't. F-Class Point Series. Go check it out. We're doing that already. When fire forming brass, do you use a squib load without a bullet or reduced loaded round? I usually back it off about a grain or so and go practice with it. Unless I need to get it brass fire formed really fast, then I throw it on my rail gun, which is water cooled, and then I just I use live rounds. What competition do you plan to shoot with your air gun? I don't know yet, but I might do some of those bench rest matches, but I'm not sure yet. There is a lot written about OCW, the flat spot or zone amongst various charge weights or powder, plus or minus, to allow tolerance in thrown charges. Then people use Prometheus, super tricklers, etc. I'm going to read it again. There is a lot written about OCW, the flat spot or zone in amongst various charge weights of powder, plus or minus, to allow. I'm screwing this up. Getting tired, guys. What time is it? Yeah. There is a lot written about OCW, the flat spot or zone in amongst various charge weights of powder, plus or minus, to allow tolerance in thrown charges. Then people use Prometheus, super tricklers, etc. Why? Well, because you do have a variance, right? However, let me see if I can give you a visual. So let's say this here is your power to charge, right? That window in which really doesn't matter. Let's call this 3/10 of a grain, right? And you go, well, I can throw with a powder thrower. It'll throw 3/10 of a grain. It ain't going to matter. Correct. It ain't going to matter in those conditions. Let's say you worked up your load at 75 degrees, right? So let's say you're throwing, let's say this is your node, all right? So let's say half a grain, right, is your node. And this is 3/10. And you worked it up at 75 degrees. You go up to 85 degrees, and it goes up to here, right? Or you go down to 65, and you're here, right? You're still fine. The problem is that you fall out of it. If you have 3/10 of a grain here, you fall out of it pretty quick. You fall out of your node. Now, take this and get it this narrow, like you can with a Prometheus or a super trickler, and you have a lot more temperature swing, and you can still be in your node. You see that? I hope that helps. So that's why. If temperature never changed, conditions never changed, then yeah, you could throw with a powder thrower. And yeah, you can be within 2-3 tenths. It ain't going to matter. But when conditions change, that's when it really matters for you to be as tight as possible so you don't fall out of your node. I remember the story about building a fence with your dad and noticing the welder had a better job than you. You have gone a long way in business, not to mention your shooting sports success. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am in Oregon. How do I go about finding PRS and F-class competitions? I'm really wanting to go shoot one. I understand the assignment. I like your video and join the, the members forum. Thank you. So there's shooting clubs over there. F-class John is in Oregon. He shoots over there. There's, I just went to, I think they call it Tri-Cities or Tri-County. That's where Rattlesnake is at. But Oregon, John is in Oregon. That was in Washington State. But there's matches. I mean, you're just going to have to, you can go, as far as PRS matches, you can go to PRS, Precision Rifle Series.com, and all the matches are listed there. And you'll find matches that are in your area. There's going to be club matches, things of that nature. F-class matches are similar. I really don't know how this is weird, but I don't know how I would find F-class matches. But I just know there's clubs in Oregon because that's where John is from, F-class John. So, and once you find it, you're golden. Hi, Eric. Is it possible for a non-shooter to observe in the pits? My rifle won't be finished for a while, but I would at least like to start learning the pit side of things. I would assume you would have to talk to the, but the short answer is yes. You can. Eric, would you consider hosting your own PRS match? Yes. I've heard about shooters running specific bullets in the same speed range. Do you feel each bullet will have an optimum velocity? No. Or does tuning a bullet seating or using the tuner can make it a moot point? Yeah, they're not going to have specific velocities. The reason shooters end up at the similar velocities because everybody's using the same equipment, So that's how they end up. But I'm trying to read some more. I mean, I'm trying to wrap it up, but there's still so many comments here. Let me skim through them right quick. Do you weight sort your primers? No. What's the expected velocity of PRCW with 180 hybrids? With a 32-inch barrel, we're getting about 29-20 feet per second. You can probably go hotter than that. But, depending on the powder that you're using, 2950 is about the max that I've heard people running them at. Obviously, your mileage may vary. Anyway, sorry guys if I didn't get to all of you. But I don't know how many of you I missed, but there's still quite a few comments that I couldn't get to. It's amazing to me that people destroy barrels with CLR and JB bore paste. Just use it with common sense and use a bore scope. I'm going to start a slow clap for WV long range shooter. Anyway, we discussed it, right? It's just common sense. Or don't use it at all, right? If you're worried about it, don't use it. There's tons of carbon cleaners out there. You can buy some of those. But even those, you got to read the instructions and use them as recommended. So, I have found my ideal velocity, 90% of max load, shooting 2 feet per second, ES. Let me start over. I have found that my ideal velocity is 90% of max load, shooting 2 feet per second SD, 5 feet per second ES, now working on seating depth for group size, starting at touch. How many rounds at what increments? 3,000s or 5,000s to test. Well, I mean, you can do 5,000s or 6,000s. You know, you can do 6,000s and go, and then when you find something, then you can play on each side of it, right? And that's going to save you some ammo. I have bumped the shoulder back too far on some cases by anywhere from 3 to 8,000s. Is that too far to fire again, or is it good to go? It's good to go. Just don't do it too often, or you're going to have case head separation if you do it too much. But 8,000s is not that bad. I mean, factory ammo is usually 10 or 12. So you'll be fine. Damn it, I missed the whole show because I had to go muster some cattle. God dang cattle. That's why I gave up ranching. I grew up ranching. And yeah, so I understand all about it. The good thing about it is saved. You can watch it all over again. All right, guys, I think that's it. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you for joining me. There is 300 of you here. Thank you. I wish we were all here live. We could have a hell of a party. Maybe one day we will. All right. That's it. Anything else? Join the forum if you haven't joined it. Trust me, it's worth it. Like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, all the good stuff.